Have you ever felt like you were there, but not really there? Like you were sitting with everyone else, listening to the conversation, laughing when everyone laughed, but somehow nobody actually noticed you. Not because they were trying to ignore you, but because your presence didn't seem to make a difference. It's a strange feeling. You can spend hours with people and still go home feeling like no one really experienced you times being there. It's not loneliness, because you weren't alone. It's something much harder to explain. It's feeling invisible while standing right in front of everyone. Maybe you've experienced it with your friends. You say something, and the conversation keeps moving as if your words never landed. A few minutes later, someone else says almost the exact same thing, and suddenly everyone reacts. You don't get angry. You don't even say anything. You just smile. But somewhere inside, something quietly sinks. Or maybe you've noticed it in smaller moments. You're walking with your friends, and somehow you end up a few steps behind. Nobody turns around to see if you're still there. Not because they're bad people. They simply never notice that you weren't beside them anymore. It's such a small moment, but your mind remembers it for much longer than it should. Because moments like these don't just make you feel ignored, they make you wonder if your presence was ever being felt in the first place. And that's the kind of pain people rarely talk about. Not being hated, not being rejected, just not being seen. The strange thing is, it doesn't happen just once. It happens in different places, with different people, until one day you stop seeing them as separate moments. They begin to feel like a pattern. You notice it at home. You're trying to tell someone about your day, but halfway through, they pick up their phone. Maybe they nod while you're speaking. Maybe they even say, "I'm listening." But somehow, you know they aren't really with you. So you finish your story a little faster than you wanted to. Eventually, you stop telling those stories altogether. You notice it in conversations too. You start a sentence, then someone cuts in. The conversation changes direction, and nobody says, "Wait, what were you saying?" It's such a normal thing that no one else even remembers it happened. But you do, not because you wanted attention, but because, for a brief second, it felt like your voice simply disappeared into the room. And after enough moments like that, something inside you begins to change. Not all at once. Quietly, you stop raising your hand to speak. You rehearse what you're about to say in your head, only to decide it probably isn't worth saying anymore. You type a message, read it again, and then delete it before sending. Not because you have nothing to say, but because you've slowly started believing that what you say doesn't really change anything. That's the part people don't see. They think you've become quiet, but they don't realize you weren't born that way. Silence is sometimes something people learn not because they enjoy it, but because somewhere along the way, they stopped expecting anyone to really listen. And perhaps the hardest part isn't that other people fail to notice. It's that, eventually, you begin to do it to yourself. You stop sharing your excitement because you assume no one will match it. You stop talking about what's bothering you because you don't want to feel like you're talking to a wall. You convince yourself that keeping things inside is easier than watching them be overlooked. Little by little, you begin making yourself smaller, not physically, emotionally. You laugh a little quieter. You ask for a little less. You expect a little less. Not because that's who you are, but because disappointment becomes easier to carry when you expect it. And maybe that's why this feeling is so painful. Because nobody ever sat you down and said, "You don't matter." Life simply handed you enough tiny moments that made you wonder if you did. And when the same feeling follows you through friendships, classrooms, family dinners, relationships, and even crowded rooms, it's easy to mistake that feeling for the truth. But they're not the same thing. Feeling unseen is an experience. Believing you are invisible is a conclusion, and those two things are very different. The truth is, every person wants the same quiet reassurance, to know that when they speak, someone is really listening. That when they walk into a room, someone notices they're there. That when they leave, someone feels their absence. Not because they need to be the center of attention, but because every human being wants to feel like their existence leaves a small imprint on the people they care about. Maybe that's why you're watching this, not because you're looking for answers, but because, for a long time, you've been carrying a feeling you could never quite put into words. And maybe, just maybe, the first step to no longer feeling invisible is finally realizing that someone understands what it feels like to be unseen.